Belgian director, screenwriter, playwright, Jaco Van Dormael here. He's a very acclaimed one. So he made incredible films like Toto the Hero, Brand New Testament, and The Eighth Day, which is my favorite. So just wanted to point it out. So you have the chance to communicate with us and with Jaco. You can use the Q&A button below, and I will transmit the question to Jaco. So I will leave you the floor, and you can tell us about who are you, how you started, and how it led you to this incredible career. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
you are. Yeah, I will try. I will try to say something in something clever then. That's okay. Well, my name is Jaco Van Dormael. I'm a filmmaker in a very little tiny country that's called Belgium. It's a country where there is no cinema industry, so nobody is waiting us for making films. There is no industry that needs films coming from us. So it's not like in France or in USA or Great Britain. There is it's a little country with filmmakers who make very different films from each other, but it's always like a prototype, you know. It's because there is no tube to put the films in it, so we make sort of every film is a prototype, and every film is like a bottle dropped in the sea, and we wait to see if somebody will find the bottle. What could I say? I'm also a scriptwriter. That takes most of my time, of course. When I make a film, it takes takes a couple of years, but writing is much more long for me. So I made 4 films in something like 30 years. So when my grandchildren will see my films, it can be in a little afternoon for the whole work, and they will ask me, and what else did you do, grandfather? And I will say nothing, because yeah, a little theater, a little opera too, but it takes a lot. It takes a long time to write, and for me the script is the most important. When the script is good, everything is easy. When there is a problem in the script, there will be a problem shooting, there will be a problem editing, and I will live for years with the same problem. So I try to work on the script until it's the best I think it could be. And I never know when it's finished. Is it because it works well, or is it because I've written enough now? Okay, so that is mysterious. In the, what could I say else? Yeah, most of my life is writing. I had a very good script teacher. His name was Frank Daniel. He came from Prague, and he said the quality, you can see the quality of a scriptwriter at his pants. If they are very flat behind, that means he's a good scriptwriter. That means he sits all the day and he writes, you know. And he always told me, okay, sit 3 hours a day and write three pages, and after a couple of years, it will be a good script. And I think it's the only thing that is that I can practice, because I don't know how to. I don't have theories, you know. I don't have a system. I don't have something that works. If it works for one film, it will not work for another. So what else could I say? It's always mysterious for me. What I'm looking for is to have the feeling it's beautiful, and that's the most mysterious for me. It's like falling in love. You know you are in love, but you don't know why you are in love. and when I'm writing, most of the time it doesn't work, and suddenly that is what I like, that's beautiful, and I just say it's beautiful, but I don't know why is it beautiful. And it's the same for the shots. Why is the take number 6 better than the take number 2? Even with an analyze, at the moment, one is very beautiful, and a film for a film it's the same. But I will never know what will be my films. You know, when I meet people who say I love your films, I don't know what they saw. When I meet people who say I didn't like your films, I don't know what they saw. And myself, I will never see for the first time my films. So it's a sort of beautiful misunderstanding. I don't know what people see. I don't know what they feel. And myself, I will not see my film for the first time. I know them by heart before they are finished, and I'm not surprised by the end. I'm sometimes surprised that people are going to see it. That's something interesting, and surprised when they are not going to see it. It's always surprised, and I never have an answer to why, because I think my favorite films are the less successful in the commercial matter, and so my favorite films are those who were perhaps the less seen, and so I don't know I don't know what people see, and even myself, I don't know what I see. My favorite film is Mr. Nobody, and it was really, it was it didn't make it made the producers lose a lot of money. That was not my money, and I'm really sorry for them, but they were very friendly before and less friendly after. And but I don't know why a film can reach the audience or not. And Mr. Nobody reached the audience, but through much later, through computers, through people looking at on VOD, or but in the theaters, the theaters were empty. So, but that's my favorite film. Probably the most crazy, the most complicated, and the most where the language was the most, the vocabulary and the language of the cinema was the most pushed in a way, in an unusual way, you know. And it's always nice to invent something.
And can you explain us the process of making this film, Mr. Nobody, because it's really complicated in terms of dramaturgy and how it started and how it developed?
It started with a short film that I made when I was much younger, that I made in '82, called E pericoloso sporgersi. It was a story of two lives. If a kid could catch a train or not catch a train, he had two different lives, one with his father, one with his mother. And that was a short film, a 12-minute short films. And I wanted to make it longer, but not only longer, but not binary, not with two possibilities, because when you have a choice, and when you have two possibilities in your own life, it's never two possibilities, because after that choice or possibility, or there will be another one, then another one, then another one. So it's more like a tree. It's more like infinity, the infinity of lives, and it's impossible to know what will happen. So it's a strange process, this kind of choices, because you feel free when you can make the choice you want to make, but you rarely know why you want to make that choice? Is it because of your past? Is it because of your parents? Is it because of your culture? Is it because of your fears? And where do your fears come from? And so it's without knowing why we make that choices, we feel free when we can make a choice we want to make. But we are not free at all because we don't know why. So it's a strange process, interesting, but strange process. And here you know, in the usual film construction, you know, every scene must be necessary. Everything that happens must be clearly with causes and consequences. And the end of the film or of the story will give a meaning to everything that precedes. And in the strange experience of being alive, the causes and the consequences are not very clear. The most beautiful scenes are not the most necessary, and the end will not give a meaning to everything that precedes. So the deal of that film was how to speak with a medium that make a story of everything, to speak about the strange feeling of being alive, that is not a story at all. So how to speak with the cinema that always tries to give a meaning about something where the meaning is not clear. That is it's a strange experience of being alive. So that was my goal in Mr. Nobody but at the moment it's complicated, of course, because everything is, instead of going to the end like that, I decided to make it like a tree like that. That's totally unusual, except in video games, where you can imagine all the architecture that is like a tree. But in a film, usually it's more and more and more narrow, and everything goes to the end, and we wait for the end to know the meaning of everything that precedes. That is something we don't experience in real life. So is making film a sort of consolation about the lack of meaning of being alive? Is it something we have to tell to ourselves? So it gives us a little bravery, and we have the feeling it goes somewhere. I don't know.
Okay, so we have a question for you about Mr. Nobody.
Yes.
So as Mr. Nobody is quite non-linear in storytelling, where there are any more image stories that were in your head that you would add in the film, would you remake it? How is it? At the end, are you happy with the end of the editing, or there are some missing points?
No, when it's so long, like a year and a half editing, I'm happy with the editing of the long version. I'm happy with it because the script was written just like the editing. It didn't change a lot. The interior of the scenes changed, but not the order of the scene. It's exactly what is written. So the editing was already on papers, you know, on little cards, to try to make that every subplot has a beginning and end, a beginning, middle, and an end. You know, it's how to mix all these different tiny little stories together, so that everything like a choreography continues, and but it could also be an endless film. But I don't want to make an endless film. You know, I tried to make it shorter, but it didn't work, because it's about complexity, and simplifying complexity is not complexity anymore. So indeed, for some people it's too complex, I'm sure. For some people, especially young people, I think complexity is not a problem, because that's what young people are dealing every day with a sort of very complex world and complex people, like the parents and so on. And when you grow older, you think it's less complex, but in fact, it's more complex.
Okay, so we have another question about script writing. So Gwansa from Facebook wrote us and asked, she said first she loves your films, and she asked if you prefer to direct or to write.
Both. It's incredible. It's a lot of fun, and going from one to the other is a lot of fun too. When I write, most of the time, except when I write with a good friend who is also a co-writer, then we laugh a lot. Then most of the time scenes became comedy because we try to make the other one laugh. When I write alone, I live for years with ghosts. You know, I see images, but they're a little out of focus. I see frames, but not very precisely. I see colors, I hear sounds, I hear voices. I know the dialogues of all these ghosts that are talking together. And when I arrive on the set, it's much more precise. Suddenly it's somebody with bone and flesh, you know. It's a 50 millimeter and not a 35 millimeter. It's that color and not another one. And everybody that is in the crew brings something more precise and then more complex, and a complexity that I couldn't imagine alone, you know. When I write alone, I know I did it alone, but when I'm on the set, I'm never alone. I'm the one who doesn't make anything except making comments about the work of the others. So it's two very different pleasures, and it's also strange to sign a film, you know, because it's directed by. But I think a painter can say, I painted it alone. A writer can say, this book I wrote it alone. But a filmmaker never did anything alone. It's a very collective piece of art, and that's fun.
And would you direct someone else's script, or you prefer to direct your own script?
Until now, I directed my own script, but I would love to have a script that I want to direct. So, but it's difficult to find. It's difficult to find.
Okay, so we have Ereke who asked about Kiss and Cry. Does this still exist, and how can we see it in real, or this project? How did your inspiration come, and how it developed, and so are you still working on it or no?
Yeah, we made two shows. One is Kiss and Cry. The other is called Blood, with the same crew. For I think we performed something like 600 times. So it's a lot in 10 years. It was we started with Michelin, who is my wife. She's a choreographer, and we tried to say what could we do together. So not that she choreographs a film or that I film her choreography, but what can we do together? And it was after Mr. Nobody, and I was the question was, is it possible to make a long feature film very cheap on the table of the kitchen? And for her, is it possible to dance only with hands? You know. And so we put this together, and we brought friends. We bring our friends, and then we improvised a lot, and the story came afterwards. The process is very different from cinema, because in cinema, the script is at the beginning and then you shoot. Here we improvise for months, and the story and the script is at the very end. And the voiceover that brings everything together comes at the very end. And and at the beginning we come in and we rehearsal without knowing anything about what's about. So we just find scenes of this and that. So it's really fun to do. And for the moment, of course, we don't with the COVID, everything is cancelled for a long moment. So for this year, everything is cancelled for 2021, except Taiwan. In March, everything is cancelled. We'll see.
So, as a director and a writer, how do you face this very strange year that COVID brings to us?
Oh, it's like you, I think, like everybody. It's really boring. It's really boring to not to hug the friends. It's very boring to be so isolated. It's very boring. It's very boring to Zoom and to email. I think after a year, Zoom is a word that will.
So sorry to invite you on Zoom today.
Yeah, but it's the only way. It's the only way. You know, but it's like being a cosmonaut. You know, you can. Yeah, it's like going to Mars. You know, it's long and it's a very long loneliness. And here in Belgium, everything is closed. The theaters are closed. The cinemas are closed. Yeah, there will be. For Christmas, you can invite one person. So UP, it's so and it's not very for me. It's not very. It doesn't. I was saying at the beginning, I had the feeling, okay, I will write and I will write 1 or 2 scripts, and it doesn't work. It's when I write and people, yeah, they take each other in the arms and they go to see the family and things like that. It's so weird to write. It's like science fiction, you know, for the moment. And they kiss without masks, you know. So it's, yeah, it's not very motivating. I hope all my friends will stay alive, and I hope, yeah, for the moment it's more trying to stay alive.
Okay, thank you. So imagine you are a cosmonaut in Zoom, so it's nice. Yeah. It's a nice image. So I have a question for you. So where do you get your inspiration?
I don't know. I don't know if I think I have no inspiration. It's I have sometimes little ideas, but most of the times I have to sit and wait. Sometimes by dreaming, things arrive. When it's really complicated, when I'm blocked in dreams, I dream a solution. And sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it works. When I shoot during the night, I dream to 3 or 4 different versions of shootings and of way to make it, and it helps. When the characters in the Brand New Testament have dreams that are all dreams that I did. So I was going to bed thinking, okay, what could he dream? And he takes a dream that the guy goes through the mirror and takes himself into the arms and said, nice. So it's less work.
Okay. So when you wrote Brand New Testament, so it started from dreams?
No, it started from, the Brand New Testament is the first script I wrote with a friend. His name is Thomas Günzig. He's a novelist. And it's back and forth for, yeah, we were a whole summer in the garden trying to make each other laugh, and finally the story arrives like this, you know. And it was fun. It was more quick than the other films, faster to write than the other films, and it's interesting because when I write alone and I don't have a good idea the whole day, it's a bad day. But with a friend, even if we don't have a good idea, at least it was a good afternoon, you know.
And can you explain the process of working with Thomas? How you work together? You wrote each other separately in one scene, or you write everything together?
No, we first bring like little stones. We don't prepare. We see each other every afternoon for a few months, and we bring ideas. It's a little bit like, you know, the facteur cheval in France who bought with stones that he had in his pockets. At the end of his life, he built a palace with all those little stones that he took on the roads. It's a little bit like that. We don't know all these ideas, how they will come together, but at the moment they come together. And when they begin to come together, then we go back and forth. You write this, I write that, and then we mix. And at the end, nobody knows who wrote what, because everybody rewrites the other ones. So it's written and rewritten and rewritten. And what's good is that he likes my ideas and he keeps them, and I like his ideas and I keep them. Otherwise, we would not use them.
So we have like students from film schools watching, and what will be the biggest advice you can give to someone who is about to start to write a script?
To write a script, to be patient, to write. I think the best way to write a script is to write, not to think, but to write. Sitting 3 hours a day, writing 3 pages a day, it will be bad for months and months. At the moment, it will be better. And I think the two qualities of not only a script writer, but a director too, if you want to make films, the two qualities is one, to be obstinate, you know, really obstinate. And the second one is to be a little stupid. That helps a lot, to be a little stupid, and so you don't realize all the trouble you will have, you know. And when you had trouble, you forget that you had it. To be a little stupid and always think it will work. No, it will work. It will work. It will be a great film. I will make it next year. I will make it in another day. And this is the final draft. Perhaps not, but just to continue, it helps a lot to be. But my friends and myself, for whom it's the most easy are the people who are a little stupid and that forget that it really will be hard, you know.
So we have another question. So Erekle again, he said that he really loves Sylvie Olive's work in your project. So how much are you involved in the production design while working on your films?
Sylvie Olive is she's a sort of locomotive, you know. She's incredible. She brings a lot of ideas, a lot visual about the sets, about the colors, about and it's always original. It's with Sylvie then that with in the set designs of Mr. Nobody, we choose main colors for every story. So every story has one main color, and so it helps a little bit to know that I'm in the yellow story, I'm in the red story, I'm in the blue story. So it's, even if you don't feel it, it helps, I think, to just to to give that, and also she has that style that we both like very much, something that is a little bit theatrical, you know, a little bit unrealistic, a little bit too beautiful or too strange to be reality, you know. And she's involved she's involved when the script is finished. Then she's already involved when we are looking on locations and so on.
So yes, someone says that there is magic fantasy, but a lot of humanity in your films. So how can you achieve this, like to stay human in this whole world you are creating?
Oh, because it's the only subject that, the only reason why I think people make films or write books or paint or take pictures or play music. It's just because it brings something of connecting to other. It's another way to connect to the other human beings, and also when you write a script or a book, or if you're an actor, you are rich, you are poor, you are a foreigner, you are young, you are a woman, you are a man, you are a kid, you are a dog, you are very old, you are dead, you live in Siberia, you live in Argentina, you are black, you are Chinese, so everything is possible, and so it's it opens the number of possibilities we have in our lives, you know. It makes it more large, the number of possibilities that how we can imagine our lives. Not only being a Belgian in Brussels during the COVID, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I have another question from Sally. She says, hi, and thank you so much for doing this. Mr. Nobody is one of my all-time favorite films. I've made it an habit to watch it every year, and every time I see something new in it. I'm curious if you have read other people's take on what actually happens in the film, and if you have a favorite theory about it.
I didn't get the end.
There's a lot of possibility in your films, so everybody has his own interpretation of it. So are you curious? Are you reading it? And if you have a favorite theory also about it?
I don't have a theory. It's because it's just what I don't have to interpret it because I wrote it. Yeah, it's a flash forward. It's something that just if at one moment you could know everything that will happen and all the possibilities that are in front of you and all the lives that you could live and all the people that you could love and all the years where you could be alive or dead or here or there. If that sort of illumination could exist, I think my feeling would be everything is worth, you know, everything is worth. Nothing bad can really happen because it's just about being alive, not about dreaming of another life. It's just being alive. And if you can, if you love, if you can eat, if you are healthy, it's okay, you know, everything is, all the lives are interesting.
So Gwansa from Zoom is asking, what is the film you are most proud of? Is it Mr. Nobody?
Yeah, it's Mr. Nobody for sure. For sure. And the other also, but Toto the Hero was really, for the first one, I was very lucky to be able to make something that is out of the box like this. Because often with the first film, you have to, enter a little bit into sort of system. And here was totally out of every kind of storytelling at that moment. For now Mr. Nobody is very usual, but in 91 it was really strange. I'm lucky because I like my films. Yeah, I'm really lucky because I like my films. I know friends who doesn't want to see them anymore, but I like also very much the Brand New Testament because it was really fun to do also, and it's crazy. And I like very much the Eighth Day because of Pascal, because of the actors, and because of Pascal Duquesne. And it was really great to bring him into the light. So I was more discreet on that film. It was really more filming the actors. In the other ones, it's more about the language of cinema.
If you want, I have a question about Toto the Hero. So it's your first feature, and how, when did you feel that the time has come to shoot your first feature? Because it's a film with a lot of confidence, because it's a very difficult film in terms of editing, dramaturgy, storytelling. It's completely mixed, and you are mastering those tools. So how did you achieve it?
I started writing when I was 23. I finished when I was 30 about. So I wrote the story of the children. Then I wrote like another film the story of an old man. Then I wrote as another film the story of the adults. And at the moment I saw that these three stories could be one, because the most interesting was really the holes into the story. How the fact that the adult doesn't resemble to the child anymore, and the old man doesn't resemble to the adult anymore, and that they are so different at these periods of their lives, and that they didn't have any control on anything that happened. So it's the same story. It's just try not to make a story with your life, because if you make a story with your life, so that was what I like to do. Speaking about a meaningless life, where the old man at the end tries just to control his death, so he has the feeling to give a meaning to it. And the twist, of course, is that his whole life he was convinced he was a victim of the bad Alfred, and at the end of his life he realized, in fact, Alfred was the victim and not him. It's about those kind of certitudes you have that make that, in fact, you don't live your life. You live a story that you are convinced that you tell to yourself. And so it took something like 7 years to have the final draft. And I was lucky that I had a good producer to produce it. Pierre Drouot was the name of the good producer.
Okay, so I have a question about the actors. How do you work with them? And how you choose the casting also?
Choosing the casting, I don't know how I do it. It's like falling in love. I don't know why, but at the moment I see something very moving, and I see something in an actor it resembles a little bit to the character, and that's very moving. When suddenly I see something that resembles to the ghost with who I lived for a couple of years, and how to direct an actor. Again, I don't know. I think I make it very differently for all actors. It's to find the key, to find what the actor needs. Some actors needs to have a lot of talk. Some actors need not to talk at all. Some actors need to start with the shoes. Some actors needs so it's always finding what the actor needs, and also to make him impossible to make that it's impossible that another actor would be there. It's only him, only her that could make that part. And of course, it's not true, because if the actor says no, if the actress is on another film, doesn't want to do it, it will be somebody else. But at the moment, somebody said yes, just to rework on the character so that this actor can do it and no other actor could do it. And it's impossible to imagine that somebody else could do it. So in that case, the actors are really, really good, really great.
Can you talk to us about the process of working with Jared Leto on Mr. Nobody? Because he is not speaking your native language, and how you managed to explain exactly what you needed.
Oh, most of the time, when an actor can read, most of the thing is done. If he can read a script, he can read a scene, he knows. If he doesn't know, then it's perhaps not a good choice. But if it's a good choice, he knows, and you see it very quickly. So it's just little adjustments from one way to another. Jared needs a lot of freedom, so sometimes I let him free. Sometimes I ask him to do just what I want him to do, and we do both. He likes to be unrecognizable. So that was very good for the part, because he had to play these 9 different characters that doesn't look to each other. So in the way of walking, of breathing, the voice, the haircut, things that are visible from the outside, but also things from the inside, the rhythm of to breathe totally or not totally, and he's really very, very good in that, to transform himself, to be unrecognizable from one character to the other. He's a great actor.
Okay, very good. So we have a question from Lucy. She's interested. I'm interested, Mr. Jaco. What is the modern cinematography main challenge today?
Survive, reinvent. I think the new generation will really have to reinvent something different, because I don't know how. It's what I see for myself and for my friends of my generation. We make films with less and less money, so we learn to make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and faster. And the young generation already knows how to make it with on a more cheap way, and that gives a lot of freedom if you can make something without having to wait for years and years to have the money. And also probably the language will continue. That and what is now a little bit difficult is with when you have to make just like series, but fast. You see that if you have 3 cameras on the set, it's the way you write with the camera is not the same if you have just 1 camera, because when you have 3 cameras, the goal is not that 1 camera doesn't film the other one. So it's much more limited in the language that you can have, and you recognize it very quickly. So one film with 3 cameras resemble to another film with 3 cameras. When you work with 1 camera and when you continue to invent a language, you can invent, of course, with 2 cameras too. But when you when you want to reinvent the language, then it's useful. Then because it's not only the language. The language of cinema is the way we think. When you put the camera there, when you cut to, when you use a track or not a track kind of angle, it changes the perception. And if it changes the perception, it changes the way you think. And what I like in the cinema is that it reflects our way of thinking. It puts things together. You can jump from one time to another, from one space to another, like when you dream, or like you imagine. It's not the recording of something that is real. So the camera is not a recording machine. The camera is an object with who you can write the strange feeling of being alive.
Okay, thank you for your answer. So I have another question from Erekle. Are you still shooting commercials? Because he loves Delvaux Belgitude one. And can you please tell us 2-3 words about how you discovered the idea with the French fries and foods?
Yeah, that was a very funny commercial to do. It's very rare to have that, you know. It's they said, okay, you have total freedom, do something with these little bags, and we tried to make something crazy, beautiful, and since the objects were really tiny, to make this sort of contrast of scales between what is little and what is big, what is little but forwards and big but not in the foreground anymore. It was really, fun to do. It's rare to have such a proposition with such a big freedom. And when you have the freedom, of course, you are very motivated, and we give, and you can give a lot.
And are you still shooting commercials? Do you like to do it? So
from time to time, yeah, from time to time, and I like to do it when it's fun to do, and for the money it's good too, especially these years. It helps to continue writing. It helps to make good long feature films that needs times, you know.
So you said that this year was a bit strange, so you didn't have very much inspiration, but are you working on a new project perhaps, or a new film, or no?
Yeah, I'm writing films about dreams since 3 years now with Thomas. So we have hundreds and hundreds of pages, but not yet a script. It will come. A lot of good scenes, but not yet really the story, but it will come. I made one short film that is a film made by 5 different directors in Europe. Michael Winterbottom in England, and so 5 different points of view about the COVID. So everyone had sort of free carte blanche to make one short films of a quarter of an hour, and I made a film with photos. Photograph is a little bit like La Jetée, and it gives. I discovered something new that I never tried. Yeah, to make a shooting just with a photo camera, two photo cameras, and then the editing room, and so it was. Very new experience. I don't know if I will make a long feature film with that system, but it's possible to make it. So it was, something new. It's good to discover something new when you are 60. Yeah.
Okay, so I have another question. Can you pick up a book from your shelf, your favorite book, and show it to us?
I have to. I don't know if I have a favorite book, but. Yeah, this is Joyce Carol Oates. She's this is one of her first books. It's short stories. So when Joyce Carol Oates, she writes more quickly than I can read. So she writes an incredible amount of books, and it's very powerful. It hurts. It speaks about pain without any she doesn't want to make things more easy, you know. It has a sort of the cruelty of life, and it's really it's my favorite writer. I'm fascinated by what she did her whole life, and the amount of books and the amount of so powerful stories. She writes very well about men, you know. She wrote about boxing, incredible books about boxing, and I never read a man who could write that, you know. And sort of she has a regret, is that she is unable to write more than 50 pages a day. So so lucky for me, because I'm not able to read 50 pages a day. So
thank you. And can you tell us about your favorite directors?
My favorite directors. I don't think it's about directors, because directors are often very different. I like a lot the Mirror of Tarkovsky. I think it's my favorite film because I don't understand how it works at all. I don't understand why I'm moved, because I don't even know what the film is talking about, you know. But I'm moved, and I don't know why. And I had a really strange experience with Tarkovsky's films, because I saw The Mirror when I was something like 22, 23, and I saw it 15 times. There was no DVD at that time in the Cinematheque, and then I saw Stalker, and again I was really fascinated by the film, and suddenly I realized that I had already seen it a few years before, but that I left the theater because I thought it was so boring. And something like 4 years later, it was one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. And so the film didn't change, I changed. And I think for the audience, it's the same thing. Sometimes it's a good moment to see a film. At a moment, a film can be totally invisible. You can just look at it, but you don't see anything. And at another moment, you can smell something that you couldn't smell before. So all these perceptions are usually, it's like, I'm surprised my dog hears things that doesn't hear, or smells things I don't smell, that the colors that the bird sees are not the same. But for myself, being unable to see something in a few years later, thinking that's one of the best films I've ever seen. And that was a shock. After that, I never said it's a bad film, of any film. I just say, okay, I couldn't see it. It was not visible, but I think all the films that are done by people who believe in it. Otherwise, it's so hard to make it. Nobody does a film without thinking it will be great.
Yes, thank you again. So we have a question about the brand New Testament, because on the poster it was written, God exists and he is in Belgium. So do you think your country, because it's very surrealistic country full of contradictory things and a lot of compromises, does your country inspire you?
Yeah. But first of all, it's fun. It was funny to think, okay, he created the world, and we start with a city without nobody, but already it has something. Brussels has something really ugly and really beautiful at the same time. It's Belgium is completely chaos. It's people thinking the opposite of the others. And a few years ago, it was really good because it was something, okay, nobody spoke the same language as the neighbor. Nobody had the same thought as the neighbor. Everybody was different. So there was no stranger, everybody was stranger and strange. And it was okay. Nobody wanted to be in the war with anybody, and it was a country where nothing worked, so it was impossible to have extreme right coming. If Hitler was born in Belgium, nothing would have worked. Auschwitz would have been too late. The trains were not on the right tracks. So it had something really reassuring. A little country that doesn't work a lot, where nobody agrees with anybody. It had something sweet in a way, because there will be no main power, but extreme right arrived in our country also, and these last 10 years, it's not so funny, and here not funny at all. So I hope, perhaps Belgium will continue. Perhaps it will be something like Czechoslovakia, and it will split. We'll see.
Okay, thank you. So we are coming to the end. It's already 6 o'clock here. So if you want to say your last words to our audience, which loves your films and which is very happy to have you here, and we hope that you will come in real for maybe a retrospective in our festival. It will be very nice. So if you want to say last words to us, it will be nice.
Oh, be brave. Be brave, because these times are hard. It's useful to dream. It's useful to see, to make stories, to see films, to read books, to make films, to write scripts. It's so important because dreaming is the thing that will make reality more livable in a way. You know, it's important to have dreams. It's important to have not one something utopic to survive. So thanks a lot.
No, thank you very much for your time and all your answers. And we see you in real in 1 year.
I would love to. I would love to. Finger crossed.
When you will finish your round around the planet in your
on my spaceship. Okay.
Exactly. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, many greetings from us. Goodbye and thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye bye.